Think about it. You literally have endless entertainment, infinite knowledge, and the entire world's social network resting right in the palm of your hand. Yet, you probably just feel completely numb, empty, unmotivated. I mean, we're living in an era of absolute abundance, right? We have access to more excitement than any humans in history. So, why does everyday life feel so incredibly dull? That right there is the core contradiction we're all facing today. Why does having absolutely everything make us feel like we have nothing? It's this bizarre paradox, and it is quietly stripping away our drive. You know, our modern comforts haven't actually made us happier. If anything, they've completely drained our motivation. But listen, I want to make something crystal clear right up front. This is absolutely not a moral failing on your part. There is actually a very specific, invisible process happening right behind your eyes right now. And to understand what that is, we need to look at what happens when you try to sit down and actually get some work done. We've all been here, right? You sit down, you've got goals, you've got things you genuinely want to achieve, and then that little voice just whispers, you know what, I'll just start tomorrow. You want to work out, or study, or build that business you've been dreaming about, but the friction just feels way too heavy. So you end up self-sabotaging, just choosing the path of least resistance. It's unbelievably frustrating because you know you're capable of more, but honestly, it feels like your own brain just straight up refuses to cooperate with you. And this internal struggle, it manifests every single day. We're talking overthinking every minor decision, this bizarre, constant exhaustion, even when you haven't done any physical work at all. Brain fog, a total inability to focus on one single thing for more than a few minutes. And of course, the endless, mindless doom scrolling. If you're nodding along to this, you're probably wondering what hidden disease is actually causing all of this friction in your life. Well, here's the thing. The real reason you can't focus isn't a lack of willpower. It's actually a structural change in your brain. And honestly, this changes everything about how we need to look at productivity. It means you aren't just lazy. You aren't permanently broken. Your modern environment has literally rewired your neural pathways. So to fix this, we really need to uncover exactly what shifted in your brain's architecture. Which brings us to part 1, the hidden thief of joy and the biological mechanism behind all of this. So we're going to break down the exact biological mechanism that's been quietly stealing your motivation, your focus, and your overall excitement for life. And it all revolves around one specific, wildly misunderstood chemical: dopamine. You know, people often mistakenly call dopamine the pleasure chemical, but in reality, it's the chemical of motivation, craving, and the pursuit of rewards. It is the engine that actually makes you want to get up and do things. Think about it. Whether you're hunting for food, building a shelter, or grinding toward a degree, dopamine is that vital fuel that pushes you through the really hard work so you can finally get the reward. But here is the massive problem, perfectly summarized by a single number: 0. That is the exact amount of effort required to get a massive, unnatural dopamine spike today. I mean, thousands of years ago, you had to hunt and gather for hours just to get a tiny dopamine hit. But today, 0 effort. You just swipe your thumb, you open an app, you watch a video, you eat some highly processed food. You are literally flooding your brain with intense rewards without doing any of the actual hard work. And your brain simply does not know how to handle this modern cheat code. And that leads us directly to this fascinating concept: neural adaptation. See, because your brain is constantly being flooded with high-level, cheap dopamine from screens and modern comforts, it kind of panics. To protect itself from this intense overstimulation, it literally numbs its own dopamine receptors. It actively turns down the volume. So now, that massive dopamine spike you get from scrolling just makes you feel, well, normal. But here is the tragic side effect. Everyday joys, things like reading a book, going for a walk, or having a quiet conversation, those now produce such a relatively low level of dopamine that your numbed brain can't even feel them. And boom, that is exactly why nothing feels exciting anymore. Moving right along to part 2, the avoidance loop, and how this turns into daily self-sabotage. Okay, so now that we know the hidden cause, let's look at how this actually plays out in your daily routine. On one side, you've got difficult work: studying, writing, building your career. These have a huge long-term payoff, but extremely low instant dopamine. Then on the other side, you've got digital distraction: 0 long-term payoff, but incredibly high instant dopamine. Now, when your brain's receptors are numbed out, it constantly feels starved. So when you try to sit down to do that difficult work, your dopamine crash brain goes into an absolute panic. It instinctively avoids the low dopamine task and violently pulls you toward that cheap, high dopamine distraction just so you can feel something. Now, this avoidance loop manifests differently for everyone, right? Some people will just hyper-focus on a completely different screen. Take David, for example. He ends up playing video games for hours, specifically to avoid the discomfort of studying for his exams. The game provides those instant hits of achievement that his starved brain is just craving. But then on the other hand, look at Sarah. She finds herself doom-scrolling social media for 45 minutes simply to avoid opening a difficult string of work emails. But the mechanism underneath? It is exactly the same. It's a completely universal human struggle of a numbed brain desperately seeking comfort. But the cost of this loop, man, it is devastating. And it's not just about losing a few hours of productivity here and there. It is fundamentally about wasted potential. Every single time you give into the loop, your confidence takes a hit. You end up carrying this heavy, persistent guilt around with you all day long because you know exactly what you should be doing. And eventually, this leads to a complete loss of direction in life. It's a painful, really isolating cycle. And if we don't break it, it just keeps accelerating. So let's talk about how we fix this in part 3, rebuilding your reward system and how to actually heal your brain. I want you to consider this massive paradigm shift. You don't need more motivation. You need less cheap stimulation. Seriously, you have got to stop beating yourself up for not having enough drive. The drive is there. It's just buried under a mountain of cheap digital junk food. So, to get your natural motivation back, you actually don't need to add some complex magic routine to your life. You need to relentlessly subtract the cheap stimulation so that your natural receptors can finally recover. Now, to fix this sustainably, we really have to rethink our core psychological foundation. Most people out there rely on outcome-based goals. They say, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to read a book. But those are fleeting, and worse, they require immense willpower. To truly rewire your brain for the long term, you need identity-based habits. You don't just change what you're doing, you fundamentally change who you believe you are. Let me give you an example. Instead of Mark saying, I'm trying to lose weight, which just feels like a massive chore he can easily quit when it gets hard, Mark decides, I am a runner. And what does a runner do? A runner runs. It's just who he is now. Or look at Elena. Instead of saying, ugh, I'm trying to finish this essay, which we know immediately triggers that avoidance loop, she adopts a new identity. I am a writer. And writers sit at their desks and write, even when the words aren't flowing perfectly. You see, when you change your internal identity like this, the habits naturally follow without requiring these endless, exhausting battles with willpower. So, with that new identity in place, here is the exact 3-step prescription to reclaim your joy. Step 1, environment design. Step 2, delayed gratification. And step 3, embrace boredom. Now listen, these are not vague philosophical ideas. These are highly actionable, physical steps that you can apply the moment this explainer ends to start physically healing your dopamine receptors. Let's unpack step 1, environment design. Here is a hard truth. Your environment is infinitely stronger than your willpower. Always. If your phone is just sitting there right next to your keyboard, your dopamine-starved brain is eventually going to grab it. It's inevitable. So you must change the environment. Put the phone in a completely different room. Use app blockers for those distracting websites. You essentially want to make the bad habits practically impossible to do and make the good habits the path of least resistance. Think about it. If you have to walk all the way upstairs and unlock a drawer just to get your phone, you've added friction. And friction, that is the absolute enemy of cheap dopamine. Which brings us right into step 2, and this really fascinating number, 20. When you feel that intense, almost irresistible craving to check your phone, open a new tab, or just grab any distraction, all you have to do is wait 20 seconds. Literally, that's it. Psychology actually shows us that if you can just sit with the urge for 20 seconds without acting on it, that automatic neural loop of self-sabotage actually begins to break. The craving peaks, and then it recedes. You are literally training your brain in real time to tolerate delayed gratification. And that perfectly sets up step 3, embrace the boredom. Look, we have been totally culturally conditioned to be terrified of feeling bored. We think if we aren't stimulated every single second of the day, we're somehow wasting our time. But I want you to reframe this completely right now. Sitting on a couch, looking out a window, and just feeling bored is not a waste of time. That deep discomfort you feel in those moments, that is the literal physical process of your brain's dopamine receptors healing and upregulating. Boredom isn't the problem here, guys. Boredom is the cure. So what should you actually expect when you start implementing this? Well, on day 1, expect high friction and some pretty intense cravings. Your brain is essentially going to throw a tantrum because you cut off its cheap supply. But stick with it, because by week 1, you'll start to notice your clarity slowly returning. That heavy brain fog will start to lift. And by month 1, you are actively reclaiming your natural joy and focus. The neural adaptation has completely reversed. Suddenly, things like reading a book, working on a complex project, or just going for a quiet walk actually feel deeply rewarding again.
So, the crucial question I really want to leave you with today is this: which hidden habit has been numbing your potential? Think deeply about your daily routine right now. What is your specific go to source of cheap stimulation that you just do automatically without even realizing it? Share your answer down in the comments below, because honestly, putting it into words is often the very first step to breaking that cycle. And hey, if you found this explainer valuable, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to join us for future explainers on psychology, habits, and human behavior. Thanks so much for learning with me today.